Ah, Marvel, Marvel, Marvel. The glorious MCU. A series that has taken the world of cinema by storm. But you know what's taken the world of the internet by storm? Tier lists. I don't know why. I just know that they're awesome. And I figured that today I'd make a very special tier list of my own as a tribute to the MCU. The crazy thing about the MCU is it's been around for half of my entire life. I am almost 23 years old. This series began when I was more than half that age less. That's a long time ago. And considering how many twists and turns the series has taken up until this point, why would I not want to make a tier list of this incredible series? Okay, formality's over. Let's get into this. Some of these are going to be really easy to place, and some of them are going to be a little difficult, but I'm sure we'll power through this one. I know that tier lists are a dime a dozen, but they're just so captivating. I don't know why. I just love them. They're like the greatest thing ever somehow. And that's also the case of the MCU, so hey, perfect fit, right? Alright, so let's get started phase 1. Notice I did the Infinity Stones. Also notice I'm doing all of this in Microsoft Paint because I'm just too lazy. Actually, I don't think it's from Microsoft. Just Paint. Because I'm too lazy and don't want to spend money to buy Adobe Photoshop or any program of the sort. So I'm just gonna use Paint because that's just what I do. It's actually a lot. It's not as limiting as you think. It's cheap. It's lazy. We're a perfect match for each other. Okay, let's get into phase 1, shall we? Are you excited? I'm neutral because I know that I'm going to piss some people off. It's just inevitable for franchises this grand in scope. Some are going to be obvious and ones that will be easy to agree with. Some are just a scenario where I won't win either way and I'm not going to try to expect to. But let's begin with Iron Man 1, the original installment, the movie that started it all. Ooh, okay, I already know where this one's going. A. Iron Man 1, the original Iron Man movie, deserves to be an A tier. It's just that good. It was a perfect movie to start the franchise on. Definitely the villain is pretty one-dimensional and predictable, but the movie outside of the villain is just, yeah, this is how you start a series. This is the character. Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark. This is the character. This is the actor. This is the story you start with. This is where you begin from. I could talk about Iron Man 1 all day, but then I'd be here all day. So, let's move on to other things. The Incredible Hulk. This one's going to be very difficult. And by difficult, I mean incredibly easy. See what I did there? My one-liners are really going... You're going to hate me by the end of this video. Very easy. The order, they're in chronological order on each level. I'm not going to put them... I'm not going to do here's an high F or a high or a low F. The tiers are just tiers. This isn't like this isn't a top list. This is a tier list. So I'm just going to put them in their chronological order. or I should say release order. Yeah, I don't think anyone's gonna question me about this. I mean, not to say that there isn't anything of value in this movie. I mean, you could also make the argument that there isn't anything of value because, in the grand scheme of things, very little in this movie, if anything in this movie, actually matters. In fact, you could literally skip this movie and lose absolutely nothing. You could literally, no joke, you could watch the non after credit scene, because they didn't even make this an after credit scene. Just watch that, and that's all you would need from this movie. The guy who plays the Hulk changes for the rest of the entire series, and everything in this movie is borderline inconsequential. Enough said. I'm sorry if I'm boring you, but I'm just trying to get through this as quickly as possible. I have other things to do. And by other things to do, I mean very little things to do. I'm a bit of a sociopathic narcissist if it wasn't painfully obvious. I also stutter. Because I don't do retakes. Because I don't have time to. Because I don't care. Fun times. E3's coming up within a month, so that's going to be great. Well, I mean, half of it is. Iron Man 2. I know a lot of people aren't a fan of Iron Man 2. Some people think it is one of the worst MCU movies ever made. It's not great, but it's going to be somewhere here. I'm just trying to decide. The stuff with the bird is definitely funny. I'm going to put it in C. Because no one likes it. But I like how Tony in this movie kind of has to figure out how to save himself. The thing I love about Iron Man 1 is that it's about Tony building himself into Iron Man. He's building the suits. He's overcoming obstacles through his mind. That's the best thing about the Iron Man movies. So while the second movie probably has the stuff with the nerdy guy. Well, not really a nerd. He's trying to make the weapons. Yeah, it's fun. I like the thing with the bird. That was funny. But other than that, But I do like how Tony has to save himself through his ingenuity. So that's why I would not put it on anywhere near this level. Okay, let's proceed, shall we? We're still in phase 1. It's been a couple of minutes already. This is going to be long. Thor. I'm so archaic, which is funny because I'm in my 20s. Did I already say I was in my 20s? Well, guess what? I'm going to keep talking about it. Because I literally have nothing else to say. Because I'm socially awkward. Yay, right, yay. Not really, though. I'm really uncomfortable right now. At least I'm not on camera. So that's something. So Thor. Thor. What am I... Oh, Thor 1. What am I going to do with you? But is it... Yeah, that's an E. Not a terrible movie. But definitely in the lower range of the movies. That's an E. It's an E for me. It's funny. But, when you but this is a tier list of the MCU as a whole. And with that in mind, Thor is an E. It just is. I'm sorry. When there's so many other better movies, of course I'm gonna... I just can't put it any higher than that. Captain America, the First Avenger. It's got something relatable enough. the story of an American war story with some superhero comic book shenanigans mixed in for good measure. What can you really say about? What can you really do? And complain about? There really isn't much to complain about. It is the truth. But how does it compare? Where would I put it? It's definitely not anywhere. It's definitely not here or any. It's definitely not here or anywhere below. It's up there. This is where I'm thinking. The I give it a good. I give it a solid B. I can't really give it any higher than that because I agree with a lot of people where it does go off the wall in a really entertaining way, but like it's nothing compared to the Captain America movies to come or that would come. Finally the end of Phase 1. Marvel's The Avengers, sometimes called Avengers Assemble, even though there's other Avenger shows and movies that are animated that share that title. So just call it Marvel's Avengers. I don't. Just call it Marvel's Avengers. That's what it says on the poster. So let's just go with that. S tier. Duh. It can be cheesy. It can be corny. It's absolutely absurd. And I mean, it really is. But it is indescribably amazing what this movie did, not just for the MCU, but to prove that you could make a superhero team work together on screen. Playing it straight, not a joke, not a parody, for real, is it's just, why would you put it any lower? It's just that good. Okay. Phase 2. Phase 2 really loves its Infinity Stones because it's got 3 of them. Iron Man 3. Copy. Paste. Yeah, Iron Man 3 absolutely belongs with its grandfather movie. I mean, why would it not? It encompasses every great element of the first Iron Man and cranks it up each of those elements to 11. Iron Man 3 is so good, it like every moment it feels it's a Tony Stark story. It's brilliant. It like the continuation from Avengers is it doesn't like focus too much on it, but Tony's trauma from nearly dying at the end of Avengers, spoilers, and like that trauma that affects him throughout the movie, he has to overcome that. And while the villain is very different, at least it's not another guy in a suit, it's so good. It's nice that the last Iron Man movie would end on such a high note. Iron Man 2 is not a bad movie, but Iron Man 3 really cuts out the crap and focuses on the elements that made the first movie good, and not the elements that the first movie and a lot of the second movie faltered with. Iron Man 3 is easily the best of the Iron Man movies. Hands down. It's just that good. I love it. Thor: The Dark World. Well, something had to go in D tier, because otherwise I don't think anything else would. You could probably argue that Thor: The Dark World and Hulk are at the same level. No, Hulk is worse. And I'm just realizing I gotta move Thor up to D. It's gotta go there. Something's gotta be in D tier. The bottom tiers are gonna be smaller than the higher tiers. There's much more good than bad in the MCU. They're like, yeah, the movies have their flaws, but there's so much more good movies than mediocre or crappy movies. There just are. Now I got a lot. I know if I had like Photoshop, this wouldn't really be a problem, but hey, I'm too lazy. What can I say? Yeah, that's good enough. Make sure to save that, am I right? Okay. Neat. Because I don't think I'm going to be visiting these tiers again throughout this video. Okay. Captain America, the Winter Soldier. I can't give it S tier, but damn does it deserve to be in A tier. Because it's a damn good movie. It really showed that like superhero movies don't have to be like super crazy. I mean, this movie is definitely has enough crazy in it, but it's got a bit more of a grounded reality. The villain is like intimidating in a very human, serious way. It continues the Captain America story naturally, instead of just being another Captain America story. That's the thing with Iron Man and Thor. Their sequels are just sequels, but with Captain America, he has an entire proper story arc that's continued through the movies, rather than, oh, here's a different villain. Oh, it's like Captain America's movies are more deeply rooted in his story arc or the bigger MCU. That's what, and like Winter Soldier is just so good. What with Bucky being like as this Winter Soldier, like the government conspiracy plot, which is like the Hydra being embedded within Shield. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd. It plays with governmental conspiracy theories to make a plot for a movie, but it's just so good. Like, how can you watch it and not be entertained by it? And it's just I don't have to justify why it's an A rank. I don't feel like I have to justify it. Copy, paste, Guardians of the Galaxy. This one's probably going to be is by far the easiest. S, 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 S. It goes in S. I don't think I need to say anything. I'm just gonna move on because there's really nothing to mention. It's S tier. That's it. We're not going to discuss anything else about it. I think people have discussed everything they need to say about about Guardians. Avengers: Age of Ultron. No doubt the weakest of the Avengers movies. It's certainly not going to be an S tier. it's the villain is like Ultron is like he just kind of takes you out of it. He also is like a Megatron ripoff, so he looks like he looks like an outcast from like the Transformers movies. And while I don't hate the Transformers movies, I had always looked forward to the first one. In fact, the first two are really good, but then the third Transformers movie happened, and then the movie started sucking balls. I don't know why, they just did, and that sucked. But yeah, Avengers: Age of Ultron, that's a C. That's a C. It's like a jumbled mess trying to set up a bunch of things. It's like the stuff that you don't do for a movie in a cinematic universe, they do here. They try to push. They try to put plot threads in here that have nothing to do with what's currently going on right now. Thor with the Infinity Stones and all this other crap shoved into a movie that should, focus on, hey, there's a robot guy trying to conquer the world. It's just like, it's a decent movie, but I can't. It doesn't belong any higher than that. It's middle of the road for Marvel movies. But hey, at least it's got Vision in it. That's something. Paste. Ant-Man. Some people consider this movie to be mediocre, and the villain is probably the blandest, most one-dimensional bland. I said bland twice, but that's how bland this villain is. Yellow Jacket is just so generic, but the movie is just so entertaining because the characters are like Ant-Man himself is funny. His friends is like work friends. They're absolutely hilarious. I know people think of them as people aren't a fan of those gimmicks, but like this movie, like the Ant-Man movies are funny. Okay? They just are. I can't put Ant-Man below a B. It's not A. It's not of the caliber of any of these, but it's good. It's good. It's a fun ride from start to finish. I say a lot. I just relax. I'm just so relaxed. Can you tell how relaxed I am? I can't because I don't feel relaxed at all. We finally made it to phase 3. And it is the longest phase. This video is going to be very long. Why did I do this to myself? Copy, paste. I know only like 10 people are going to watch this. Not even, maybe. And I don't care. I'm just doing this for the fun of it. Avengers Civil War. A. Definitely, it's among the better movies. But I can't put it in S tier. It's not at that level. It's close. But yeah, it's good. It's a really, really good movie. And it kicked the crap out of Batman versus Superman, that's for sure. Oh, DC, what did you do? Why didn't you try? You could have tried, but you didn't. Okay, Doctor Strange. Not a bad movie. But yeah, it's gonna have to go here. It's average as far as Marvel movies are concerned. sorry about that. Hope I edit that out if I'm not too lazy. Yeah. Doctor Strange, it's a decent movie. And the star definitely takes the show. He's definitely awesome. But I agree with the sentiments of others that Doctor Strange works when he's with like the other heroes. By his own movie, it's just okay. I mean, I definitely think it's a little better than these two movies than than Age of Ultron or Iron Man 2. It's better than those two by a fair bit. But again, it's middle of the road for me. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Well, we know it's not gonna be... Is Guardians 2 S tier? It's just a continuation of the Guardians movie, but I'm gonna leave it at A. It's just more of the Guardians. It's amazing. Of all the movies I'm putting A tier, I'm pretty sure it's one of the better ones. But I can't put it in the same level as the original because of just how monumental the first Guardians of the Galaxy was to, the Guardians of the Galaxy as characters. The second movie is just just riding that wave of hype that was the first one. But it definitely compares though. It's hysterical, but it's more emotional, so it focuses on new elements and just kind of expands the Guardians storyline. But it is among the top levels of MCU enjoyment. It is among the best. I know, right? Could I sound any more stilted and awkward than I already am right this moment? Yes. I'm probably going to get worse. Spider-Man Homecoming. Spider-Man is my favorite superhero. And Spider-Man Homecoming is so relatable. How could I not put it in S tier? How could I not put Spider-Man Homecoming in S tier? I just don't... I don't know how I couldn't. How could I not? I'd be a fool to do such a thing. So I'm not going to do that. It stays here. It stays here. Because of the live action Spider-Man movies, this one's the best. I'm sorry, it just is. You can't. It's just. Come on, this Spider. I just love this. I just love this movie. This movie is fantastic. It's everything that is Spider-Man is in the DNA of this movie. It's S for Spider-Man. This is red. Here's an S, and here's Spider-Man. And this is a combination that makes logical sense. Whereas other Spider-Man movies would not fit this rank. A few of which would be down here somewhere. We know which ones those would be. I'm so happy this is almost over. Not to say there hasn't been some fun here and there. Paste. Thor Ragnarok. S for like saving Thor as a character. S for like turning Thor from one of the Thor movies from some of the worst parts of the MCU and making one of the best movies in the MCU. Thank you, Waititi. Whatever your name is, I forget. But just thank you for making Thor an amazing, fun ride, a fun experience. Doesn't take itself too seriously and isn't like so far up its own ass that it doesn't understand how absurd it actually is. Thank you for this. S tier. Black Panther. This movie's pretty controversial. People think it's good. A lot of things think it's bad. Me, where do I sit with it? I put it at a B. In terms of how much it makes the dopamine in my brain pump, it's probably about equal to something in a C tier. But Killmonger is such a good villain; it elevates an average movie into a really good one. So Black Panther gets a B, as far as I'm concerned. Far from among the greatest, but it's good. It's good. Thanks to the villain. The villain makes it good. Any complaints? No? Okay, moving on. I have other things to do. I'm not gonna bother. Ant-Man and the Wasp. C. Because it's just more of the same thing. The only thing in this movie I consider remotely memorable is the continued joke of the, okay, here's a flashback. Here's a flashback, his friend who does like the flashback stuff. So this guy told me this thing, and then this guy told me this thing. I can't do an impression of him. I suck at impressions. That's the only thing in this movie I enjoyed. Everything else was just middle of the road for me. It just kind of trying to revisit what Ant-Man was before. Yeah. It's passable. It's decent. It's watchable. Not like these things over here. Okay, 2 more movies. Technically there is 1 more movie in Phase 3, but it's not out yet, so I can't rank it. Although the trailer was incredible. Captain Marvel. Probably the most controversial movie because of everyone. Probably the most controversial movie. Where do I place it? Let's see. I liked a lot of the ideas in them. I liked a lot of the ideas. I just think that the movie kind of just stumbles around as very little happens. I love what they did with Fury in this movie. But I think Captain Marvel as a character needs more development. And they need to like explore more of her identity as a human. And I especially feel that after watching Endgame, as she feels like there's just something about her character, not that I don't know if it's intentional or not, but she just has this detachment from Earth, and she performs the actions of a hero, but she doesn't feel like she doesn't act like someone who's being a hero. She performs the tasks of a hero. And I really hope that if with other Captain Marvel movies, which I think there'll at least be 1 more, they actually address that and focus on that. Because I didn't hate this movie. I did not hate this movie. A lot of people did. A lot of people say that it didn't perform very well compared to other MCU movies. Wasn't bad. I liked the twist with. I liked a lot of subversions of the expectations with like the the one alien faction that you think are bad guys are actually just innocent people trying to escape the other faction that Captain Marvel happened to be working for, that she was part of the crew, the Kree. And the warring faction just doesn't want to fight anymore and they want to escape. I like that. That was cool. That was interesting. But it's just like it meanders. A lot of it can be kind of boring. It's like can we it's just like the movie that makes you scream in your head. Can we get to Endgame now? We want to see the conclusion to the story. Let's get to Endgame already, please. It definitely makes you think that. But it's not a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. It's passable. Just barely. It's some kind of hot tub time machine. No, but it's just as good. Just as good. I love it when a franchise has more S tier, more. Don't you just love it when a series or anything has more S tiers on its plate individually than anything else? At least when you ask me. Again, this is my personal opinion. You can feel free to think whatever you want. But my final list is F tier, Hulk, E tier, Thor the Dark World. Though if I made the E tier redundant, I guess they'd both be in F tier. D tier, the first Thor. C tier, Iron Man 2, The Avengers Age of Ultron, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel. B tier, Captain America, The First Avenger, Ant-Man, Black Panther. A tier, Iron Man, Iron Man 3, Captain America, The Winter Soldier, of Captain America, Civil War, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and S tier, Marvel's The Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame. Done. If you don't like if you just don't happen to like my opinions, okay, I don't care. Feel free to write them in the comments. I won't disable them because I don't believe in doing that. I'm most likely not going to read them because, again, I don't care. I'll read them. If I remember to. I might lose interest. I don't even know why I made this video. Oh, I know why. It's because it's impulse. It's just impulse. Yay, impulses! Yay, OBS Studio! But I didn't want this in here. Yay, I made an amateur video! Yeah, right, yay! Okay, I'm done.